So let me guess, you think owning a superbike is the be-all, end-all to motorcycling, and I'll be honest, I used to be just like you. I thought that one day I would ascend to an R1M and immediately transform myself into Valentino Rossi. But here's a little secret for you. Superbikes are a lot like supermodels. They're amazing to look at, very intense to handle, and extremely expensive to maintain. Today, I'm gonna give you the reality of owning a superbike, dispelling the myths and showing you that the expectations of owning a 200 horsepower beast are usually not true. The first myth is that when you get your first superbike, you are instantly bestowed MotoGP levels of power. You can just rip and go super fast everywhere. But the reality is that you're usually too scared to use even more than 20% of the throttle. Don't believe me? Go ahead and look up on YouTube some first timers riding 1000cc bikes. The last time I saw testosterone levels that low was at a femboy convention. Most riders on superbikes never make it past 7,000 or 8,000 RPM on their daily ride. Because if you go past 9,000 RPM in first gear on these bikes, you're doing 90 in a school zone. These bikes are way more capable than the vast majority of people who are buying them. I mean, look at it this way. You bought 200 horsepower, and yet you're only using about 80 at any given time. Congratulations, you played yourself. So this idea that you're gonna jump on this motorcycle and it's just gonna be super fast everywhere just isn't true. And on top of that, you're probably gonna be too scared to utilize that kind of power. The next myth is that you'll be faster as a rider when you jump on these machines. As soon as you elevate yourself to superbike ownership, well, you're gonna be smoking everybody in the canyons. I hate to break it to you, but you're probably still gonna get smoked by that dude on the Ninja 400 who's been going to the track every other week. Doing a straight line pull on the highway really requires nothing more than bravery and a little bit of timing to make sure the gear shifts are at the top of the RPMs. It doesn't really translate to twisty road ability or track day ability. Man, if I had $1 for every time I saw a leader bike dude in the novice group at the local track days, I'd have at least like 50 bucks, maybe. So not enough to retire or anything like that, but you know, a good amount. Some beer money, why not, you know? Your line selection, throttle, and braking inputs matter way more than how much horsepower you have at your disposal. All right, this next myth is truly one that I think about a lot when it comes to all these guys on TikTok and Instagram. They say, bro, it's worth every penny. This premium grade motorcycle that's currently on a 19% loan that I paid $36,000 out the door for, I love it. Every single penny, it's worth it. But the reality is you're paying top dollar for power and performance that you barely get to access at any given time. Expensive tires that you're gonna roast through constantly because of the amount of power, expensive service intervals, especially on those flashy European models, because did you know that M1000RR that you bought doesn't just need valve service at 18,000 miles, it in fact needs an entire engine rebuild. Yeah. How many M1000RRs are we gonna see pop up on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace with 17,999 miles on the clock? And then your modification money starts to pile up fast. You're gonna do the flash, the sliders, the exhaust, the tail tidies, and guess what? The people selling those parts are gonna hike up the prices because they know you're gonna foot the bill, usually on your credit card. And the other thing, because I did live this life at one point, you're gonna get speeding tickets. The insurance premiums are crazy. Everything's more expensive when you wind up owning a superbike. And don't even get me started on actually track daying or, God forbid, racing a 1000cc motorcycle. You better get ready to pull out your checkbook and weep every other weekend when you go to the races. It is not for the faint of heart or the financially disadvantaged. And I gotta admit, in terms of money spent on these bikes, $2,000 for an exhaust, but $0 on rider training is a crazy strategy. Bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it plays out. I say all this because I speak from experience. I've owned many superbikes and lived with them on the daily. In fact, I'll go ahead and list them because superbike guys tend to be flex offenders. I've had a 2019 Yamaha R1, a 2021 Honda CBR 1000 RRR SP Fireblade, a 2008 Ducati 1098, a 2020 Panigale V4R, a 2018 Yamaha R1M, and a 2021 BMW S1000RR. And yes, I bought all of those motorcycles outright and gave them away to fans of the channel. Tell that to the TikTok bros who are currently financing their superbikes, hoping that all that short form content pays for it. Go to my website, yammytube.co, and check out our latest giveaways if you want. Link down below. The other myth is that you're gonna be daily riding this thing, man. You're gonna be out there every day on your brand spanking new BMW or Yamaha R1. Well, it turns out that taking the old Toyota Corolla tends to be a little bit more comfortable, and then, yeah, I don't really want to ride it when it's cold or wet, even though the electronics could save me. And then you end up kind of riding it maybe like 2 or 3 times a month. The economist in me is now currently running the cost per usage on that, and I'm not liking what I'm seeing. I mean, straight and simple, superbikes have horrible ergonomics. They literally train you to be a shrimp. Do you want to be a shrimp? No, you want to be a big tough man. That's why you got a superbike. You stop doing arm workouts and focus purely on the deadlift because you realize that if you had big enough glutes, maybe then your dad would love you. I don't know why he'd love you if you had big glutes. I'm just spitballing here. So if you want to be a little shrimp person, then get a superbike. Do what you gotta do. In fact, they train you to do yoga even when you don't want to do it, but instead of teaching you inner peace, you basically just get a messed up back and crampy wrists. And I can already hear it. You're gonna say, Yam, just do core exercises, squeeze the tank with your legs, and lighten up your arms, baby. Be a Chad and ride the superbike. But not all of us want to go and do sit-ups all day just so we can ride our motorcycles. They overheat in traffic, the seats are typically uncomfortable as hell, and the suspension is super stiff, and so is the chassis, so there's not much you can do about it. The first big pothole you hit on a superbike is gonna make you question everything about your existence. Not only that, in terms of being a daily rider, the theft risk on superbikes is tremendous. Do you know the #1 bike that people want to go and steal? It ain't a KLR 650, it's a shiny red Ducati. The other myth is that this bike is gonna make me a better rider. But in reality, what it actually does is it hides your flaws until it doesn't. Look, there's only so much traction control that can save a squid from insanely improper throttle application. It's kind of like people who buy the best gear possible. They run a full tracksuit, the super flashy helmet, the gauntlet gloves, the boots, and then they hit a wall going 120 miles per hour. No helmet will save you if you hit a fixed object at 120 miles an hour. Trees and walls don't really tend to give much. All the electronics on these bikes smooth over bad rider inputs and just makes you not as sharp. Look, I'm not saying we all need to go and ride mid-2000s Ducatis in order to feel something, but these bikes really are ridiculously easy to ride and let you get into trouble. Getting on a slower, more forgiving bike with fewer electronics is actually gonna teach you a lot more. So those are some superbike myths that I've currently dispelled in today's video. I hope you appreciated the video. And honestly, I've owned many superbikes. They are a ton of fun to ride, but like hard drugs, they are good in small doses and sparingly. That's why I would recommend if you wanna own a crazy fast motorcycle, keep it to the track. That's where they're best enjoyed, and you get all your demons out and you get to enjoy life. Let me know what you think. Do you have a superbike that you ride on the daily, or have you moved on from that life? Do you have one in the stable you ride every once in a while, but you have a more reasonable motorcycle? Let me know your thoughts down below. I do love hearing from you guys. If you enjoyed today's video on superbikes, go and check out this one right over here. I guarantee you that it will not disappoint you. Thanks for checking out today's video. I truly do appreciate it. I'll catch you in the next one. See you later.